Oh my
I
God,
think
listen to us, we're obsessed.
Hey, 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 back at it again with another episode of Jeans and a Nice Top podcast. This is episode 3. I took a little break last week because it was Bank Holly Bobs and I just wanted to be very stereotypically British and enjoy the sunshine and all things beveraginos in the park. So I thoroughly did, but we're back with a bang and with probably one of the most wholesome conversations of this series, and it features the lovely Charlie Brogan, model, poet, badass, and just an all-round gorgeous human being. We discuss everything from Instagram poetry and her viral poem Girls. If you've not read it, head over to her IG and give it a read ASAP. Our insanely ridiculous obsession with Love Island, and some little nuggets of wisdom along the way. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I do. As always, don't forget to rate, review and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Smile to Health and check out my book. It's called Curse to Feel, available worldwide on Amazon. Ciao! Hey team, and welcome to another episode of Jeans and a Nice Top podcast. And this week we are blessed with the one and only Charlie Brogan, Northern gal down south, model, writer and poet, co-founder and editor of the Rally magazine. She is the love child of Dolly Alderton and Carrie Bradshaw in the way that she literally bursts out bougie and creativity everywhere she goes. If you don't follow her on Instagram already, she's blur. And I'm just super excited to speak to her today. She's been on my list for a while, finally down. But for those that don't know you, tell us who you are.
Oh my gosh, that was
so
nice.
You're awesome. Like, what a bio.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Yeah, so I am a writer, a poet and a model. I guess, well, I'm full-time modeling, so writing for me is, I guess, a passion project that's kind of just started to kick off, really. Which has been very exciting, and that all really started happening at the beginning of the pandemic, so it's been a pretty intense, fun time.
A wild ride.
Yeah,
and nice, I bet, because obviously the modelling would have completely stopped at that point because you can't be in person. So to have this other like creative outlet must have been really awesome.
Oh, it was amazing. I was so lucky. I guess I think I stopped writing for a bit because I don't know, I guess quite a few people could probably relate to it. I guess, you know, when you have that kind of passion thing on the side and you try to give it a go and you get a few knockbacks and you think, oh, this isn't worth it, you know?
Yeah.
And then I guess I just needed it during the pandemic. It was it was hard not working, and it naturally comes to me anyway, almost as like I'm writing a diary. So
I'm exactly the same. Like when I write, it's normally because something big has happened and I end up like splurging it out in like the notes of my phone or on a scrap piece of paper somewhere, and then you actually read it back and you're like, that was quite good actually.
I know.
I'm glad that I'm emotionally unstable because that was some really good writing.
This sounds great. I feel sorry for her, but it sounds great.
Like, who hurt you?
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I guess it was coming out in that kind of way. And I'd already studied writing poetry anyway, so
amazing. Did you study it at uni?
No, so I never went to uni. I started full-time modeling when I was like 18.
That's incredible.
And thanks. Yeah, I mean, modeling is great. I'm really, really lucky to do it. But yeah, it's definitely one of those jobs where it's not that it doesn't fulfill me at all. It's not that. I guess it's that writing for me it's just better for my brain and soul, really.
And I think you have control over your writing because it's your power and your words on a page, and you control how that like end product is put out into the world, whereas with modeling it's very much like you hand the control over to whoever creative vision it is. So even it's like a great, like so much fun to do, it's like as a dancer, like it's not about me, it's about what they want. So if they decide to paint me green and I have to do contemporary rolling over the hills, then that's what I have to do. Like you don't get much choice.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because like you feel, it sounds harsh because we're not props, but I guess you do feel like a bit of a prop sometimes. Like you are fulfilling someone else's creative idea. And I think, I mean, because you write, you'll understand that kind of feeling of, you are kind of taking control back of your own thoughts and feelings and what you want to put out into the world. So I've always loved that, and because of that, I did like a short course of poetry, just to like learn a new skill, and and then I just love it. I love it so much.
Oh, me too. Do you know what I love about poetry? That I became such a poet like nerd during lockdown, because I've always written it, but it was because I couldn't put. I used to write lyrics, but I couldn't, and I could play piano, but I couldn't. I used to just get really frustrated, and then it ended up becoming poetry. The way I write is like, but I love. You're so right with the way that you write. Feel like snippets of a diary. It feels like you're reading somebody's really intimate moment, and that's what makes it so beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what's exciting about poetry. Is my favorite kind is that kind of thing where you feel as though you're reading someone's thoughts, and almost like you're observing a conversation of theirs, or you're observing what's going on in their mind. And when it's like got those really fine details about something that they would probably find really boring, you know, like just really small details about someone's life that you're just like, oh, you just feel as though you're cracking into someone's brain. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's like people watching, but on a page.
Yes, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I love that. And I love people watching as well, actually. I'm into that.
Me too. I can't stop. I've got into a habit of working in coffee shops, and I just don't get anything done because I'm just looking at everyone all the time.
God, I know, I get so distracted.
Many people.
Yeah. There's some strange people in London, and it's my favourite thing ever.
I know, honestly. I'm so the same. Like, I'll try and work in a coffee shop, and especially because of the pandemic, it's like being able to get out to write. I'm like, oh, thank God. So I like go and write in a coffee shop, but then I'll just like see someone or like witness something, and then just find that I've been talking to my friends over WhatsApp about like, oh my God, you'll never guess what, I've just had this conversation at a coffee shop. Yeah. It's like, get on with work, stop it.
I used to play like Spot the First Date as well. That's my favourite thing. Like if you're out for dinner. Oh
my God, I'm so good at that.
I'm like getting better, and I think it's because I'm practicing too much now, but it is really obvious when you know, and you're like, oh my God, when I end up going, because I'm like single as hell, so when I end up on my first date, when I can actually like everyone's
God, yes, Spot the First Date, that's a great game.
It's a great
I love that.
It's a great one to do, honestly.
So would you say that like your journey into writing kind of really began in the beginning of the pandemic, or is it something you've always done and then you've just kind of like finally had the time to invest in? Yeah,
it's definitely the latter. I've always I feel like I've always written, so I always kept diaries when I was younger, and I was a big reader, so I just loved that whole world, really. So I loved trying to write my own stories when I was younger, and writing in diaries and journals, but you know, like really young, like before I was like 10. And then I got into writing I got into writing song lyrics when I was going through a breakup.
Oh my gosh, that was like
when I was like 16.
I want to write a really sad, depressing song looking out into the rain, Avril Lavigne style.
Yes, literally. Yeah, I remember, I was trying to remember one of the first things I wrote that was kind of like a poem, and I wrote like a song when I had my first breakup with my first boyfriend, like something about like looking out into the stars and like, I don't know where you are and all this stuff, and it's like he's 10 minutes down the road. It's so dramatic.
The context is like
ridiculous, but
I miss being a dramatic teenager.
Oh my God, I feel like I still am in so many ways. But so I've always written. Yeah, I've always written, and started taking like little poetry courses because there's so many amazing ones around. So I started doing that when I was like 19 to about 23. And then I guess it was just during the pandemic I started putting on Instagram, because I've got like a kind of modeling account, and I started this writing account with like no profile picture, no information about me at all, to kind of just practice putting it out there. And then I guess it got a bit more of a following, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to say who I am now. And I was really scared.
Damn it.
But then I guess from that, like what's amazing about those spaces is that they're actually so much more supportive than you think. So it kind of it boosted my confidence a bit.
Yeah, like social media one. And I've noticed this, like, do it as a job. Like, when I do it for brands, it's such a more positive space than when I think it's like your face and your, like, if you're a fitness influencer, you're going to get a very different experience to if you're a writer or a painter or an artist. And I think actually for creatives, it's a really awesome space.
It totally is. Yeah, I found it really surprising just how many people want to find that stuff.
Yeah.
And how many people will just like message and just being kind, like, and I especially find just women are just so kind to each other. I get, like, you know, messages from girls just being like, hi, like, I love your work, and then like they'll want me to read some of their work or something. And everyone's just so great, and I like, it's just so nice. Everyone wants to kind of share this with each other just because they love poetry and writing so much.
Yeah,
it's got such a healing power, and I think people didn't really, it's kind of taken a boom again, I think, from lockdown, in the sense that people are now paying more attention to the things that make them feel good. So it's not about like reading because you've got to tick the 10 pages off, or you've got a book club, or you're blah blah blah. It's like, oh, I'm reading this because I enjoy it. Oh, I like poetry because I like this poet because she talks about the things that relate to me. And I think there is this real healing power to like words and spoken word, shared experiences.
Yeah, and I think because it's like such a, not always, but because it's, I guess, a smaller medium than reading a book or watching a film, like you can get a lot from a poem in like 30 seconds,
literally.
And you know, even if you had it like a screenshot of it on your phone, because I used to do this quite a lot, like have it like a poem as like a screensaver, just so you can read something.
Oh yeah, me too.
And get that feeling just so quickly. And I think that is amazing. I guess that's why poetry translates over onto Instagram so well, even though a lot of people don't like Insta poetry. I think it's great. It translates well onto Instagram, really.
I think it's great because
I think like purists don't like it, don't they? They want everything to stay the same, and it has to be prose, and you have to think about the beats and the rhythms. And actually, like, spoken word and poetry isn't meant to be like that. I think what makes good poetry is the stuff that's really non-conformist and just kind of breaks rules and is about life.
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't make, I think I read an article recently, and it was about someone was slating a poet, just basically saying that like Keats would be turning in his grave or something. And I was like,
eye roll.
Oh my God, imagine if we all tried to do, it's massive eye roll. It's like, imagine if we all tried to do the same thing that was being done hundreds of years ago. How boring is that? I don't get it.
And let's be honest,
if somebody put a Keats poem on Instagram, do you really think anyone would spend the time? Like, don't get me wrong, I love Keats, but I'm not going to scroll through a carousel of like a 5-page long poem. Like, no one's going to do that.
Yeah, it's just a different way of just expressing yourself, and a different way of writing poetry, which I think is great. I think putting too many rules on it kind of takes away why it's special, which is that
absolutely,
you know, you can kind of do anything with it. I love it.
Do you have any? Yeah, me too. I'm like totally, and I genuinely do really love your work. I think.
Oh, thank you.
How did I stumble across? I think it was Girls that I saw first. I think that was the first one that I read of yours, and now I'm fully invested.
Oh, thank you so much.
Who would you say are like your biggest inspirations?
Ooh,
that's quite hard.
Oh my God, there's so many. I think Kim Adenizio, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, but Kim Adenizio, I started reading her, how long ago? I think she was the first poet that I read, and she was very just upfront and a little bit gross, and wrote a lot about like men and relationships, which when I was writing stuff like that, I would always worry that people would kind of scoff at it, that I'm like kind of a teenage girl writing about boys still. But she would write it in a way that was just so punchy and relatable and real. And that was a huge influence for me when I first started writing, because I was kind of like, oh, okay, I can write about whatever I want. I don't have to, adhere to
no
like any kind of rules. Yeah. And then recently there's a poet called Hera Lindsay Bird. And she's, oh my gosh, I love her. But she's just great. She's got a poem called Monica from Friends, I think, and it's like 5 pages long, and it's about how a taxi driver says that Monica's his favorite character in Friends or something, and she's just going off on a rant. It's so like so unique and observational, and you just see the inner workings of her mind. I found that really inspiring, again, because it was so different to other stuff I'd read. It was another reminder of like, okay, there's no rules. I don't have to.
Just do anything.
Just do you.
Look, you do you, boo.
You do you, boo.
You did a lot of the like Instagram lives, didn't you, during lockdown, like bringing in other people. Tell me a bit about that, and like what the inspiration was, and kind of what you learn from it?
Yeah, so I did that quite early into lockdown, I think. I think I would just I think what inspired it was when I started gaining like a small following, I just met loads of amazing poets, and again, like it was such a supportive little community where everything that you'd post and the other person would post, you'd always comment on and being like, oh, this is brilliant. And and it was so nice. And I just thought this, especially in the midst of the pandemic, like the weekends were so boring. So I was like,
I totally relate to that. Every day was the same, wasn't it?
There was no separation.
Yeah,
not at all. And I wanted to do something on Sunday, basically like drink some wine and listen to some poetry, because that's something that I would enjoy. So then I just wanted to invite some poets on. So I had Katrina Innes, and she's a wonderful poet. I had Charlotte Moore. I've had Monica Radojevic. They're all just brilliant. So also they write differently to me. If I wanted to work, I guess I did, but it was just because I wanted to hear them read. Basically,
because it's so interesting. You'll write something and you've got a way that you read it in your head, and then someone else might read your poem out loud and you're like, whoa, I didn't see it like being read that way. And like every poem has a million ways to be interpreted, and I think that's really cool.
And it's nice to hear the poet explain what the inspiration was, because every time whoever I had on would explain, oh, this is why I wrote this, and then when they read it, you're like, oh my god, it's just amazing, because you don't really get that sometimes when it's like page poetry. You don't get the poet's explanation before, and like it's up to your own interpretation, but hearing them read it was always so special. And I do want to do more of it. I kind of stopped a little bit, but I think it's because the world opened up again a bit and people were like, I'm having a boozy brunch on Sunday. I'm not going to make it. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine, we all need to get out.
Fair do.
Isn't it, where you're like, I was exactly the same with getting guests on the podcast during lockdown, super easy. Now everyone's like, I can do 6 weeks time at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday, and you're like, okay, I'll pop you in the diary.
I know everyone's calendars are so full, because it's just like making up for lost time massively, and you're like, I get it, it's fine, we're all going,
oh my goodness,
we're all going nuts.
Especially I think in London there's the FOMO is back.
Oh my god, it is, right? If
I'm not out, I feel guilty now.
I'm like, I should be doing so. I should be at a museum. I should be in brunch. I should be out for a boogie.
I know, it's funny. I feel as though I'm trying to keep up with it, but I can't really keep up with it at the minute. And I never used to get FOMO at all, but I'm getting it a little bit now. I'm just getting the kind of, I should be seeing people, but I'm a bit of a hermit at the minute, you know. I'm still living a bit of a hermit life. To be fair, it's always worth it once you get out, I think.
It's just the getting out, isn't it?
The idea of it, you're always just like, oh my god, it's so. And also, you know what? I was speaking to someone the other day, and they reminded me of this. And it's in London, if you were to go to someone, it's kind of normal. But say if I was at home, because I grew up in Cheshire, if someone's like, do you want to come out? Do you want to pop over and see me? I'm in Liverpool. That's an hour away. I'd be like, are you joking? I'm not going, not travelling an hour to go see you.
True.
Yeah, it's totally normal to go from west to east, and that would just be like a really okay thing. But if any of my friends were further than a 20-minute bus, not happening. Like, sorry, babe. It's a no. Because you think as well, because half the time I feel like it'd be easier to live outside of London and commute in than it is to be in a particular area, because I'm north and then loads of my friends are south. That's a nightmare trying to get down to them. Like when they live in Brixton and you're in like Kentish Town, it's
like over an hour sometimes. And then you're just like, the thought of it, you're like lying in your bed in your pajamas, or like in the bath, or like watching an episode of something, you're like, oh my god, I've got like a journey that's an hour and 15 minutes across London. You're joking. But anyway,
but life is good
once you've done it. Yeah, life is great.
Woo, we love it.
This is why we're poets, because we like to be seclusive and just like hide in a corner with a notebook.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm that person creeping in the corner of the cafe. I always have to be in the corner as well. I don't like being like completely surrounded by people.
Really?
Maybe it's the only child in me. I wanted to also talk about have an online magazine called The Rally. Love it. I've actually read through it. The topics that you discuss, I think I love the kind of conversation that you have around like sobriety. You go into the topics that people don't talk about, which I think is really good. But what made you want to start it? You do it with
Julia Oliphant.
Oliphant. Who do I think I am?
Font. I actually love that. Julia Oliphant, she's the best. Yeah, so we started it in like 2016, and I guess it started from us chatting at a party, and we just had the same interests, and we found the same things funny, and we found the same things interesting. And I wanted to start something like an online magazine or a zine or something like that. So I basically asked her if she wanted to get involved, and then it went through various stages where I think we were like, okay, well, I think it started like we were going to comment on like artists or something ridiculous that we could not do. We were like, okay, well, let's do this. And then we were like, we don't know anything about that. Okay, let's not do that.
That's not going to work.
Yeah, neither of us know anything. Then we basically wanted to be like an online magazine, kind of like a Refinery 29, where it was constantly updated, which we both love, but then there's only two of us, so we were trying to keep up with those major magazines, and we were just like both working full time, exhausted, just like I can't do this anymore. So then we changed into what I guess is essentially like a virtual meetup, which is kind of how we like to explain it. We'll like pick a topic to write about and have a theme, and we'll deep dive into it. And it's seasonal, so it's every few months, so we can keep up with it. And also we feel as though the content is much better because we can really work on it for a few months rather than try and bash it out in like half a day.
I think that's the problem sometimes, is when you try and do too much too soon, you like burn out the creativity, and then like you said, the quality of it just isn't. Like, we all want to be Refinery 29. Probably got a team of like a ton of people that are consistent writers, and they have guest writers in. Like, that's just not possible with two people.
No, it's definitely it's not possible because we love it. I mean, as well, because our idea was that we wanted to make a magazine that we call it a mag that won't make you sad, because we wanted it to have no advertisement. So we weren't trying to sell anything in any of the articles. So you know how so many magazines that we read when we were younger that would have like an article that would make you feel really bad, and then it'd be like, so buy this. And you'd be like, oh no,
we've just destroyed we've destroyed your self-esteem, and now we're going to sell you something to make you feel how you felt before you read this article.
You read this, exactly. So that was what we wanted to do with it. But then also, I guess, because we didn't have advertisement, it meant that we just had to do everything ourselves, which is great, because we do everything from like the artwork and we design the website. Thanks. We love a collage, so it's actually really nice. We'll just sit and make a million collages, but we're both really proud of it, I think, because we've got writers that write for us now, and we get to pick apart the subject, because our last issue was about wine. Was it wine, the last issue? It was wine, and that was just so fun, because we were like, okay, what can we write about wine? Just anything. We just write anything. It's so good.
It's endless. There's so many possibilities. You could talk about like girls' nights, you could talk about sobriety, you can talk about the best wines to drink, literally anything. The possibilities are endless.
And we're working on the next issue at the moment, and it's another fun subject that we're like, oh, okay, the possibilities are endless. We tried to do an issue about Love Island, but it was almost too, like, not too niche, but it was almost too, we need a kind of broader subject, if that makes sense, a broader random subject.
It's one of those, because it really strikes debate. And also, I find that people you really don't expect to love it, and then people you think will hate it. Yeah, like vice versa. It's a really weird one. I felt like this. Did you watch this season?
Yeah, I was obsessed, actually. It kept me going. It was just good. I have no routine in my life, so it was the only thing that I know that I'm doing that day. Because every day is totally different. Loved it. That's not the only reason I loved it. It's a great show.
It is.
So much.
I feel so guilty, because I'm like, I really love it, and I know I really shouldn't, but I really love it.
it was just such a good season. I just think it's just so interesting,
because you're literally putting people together, and like it's like you're watching a social experiment, and I think people are really harsh on them, and you're like, you remember that they're there 24 hours a day, they get sleep deprived, they don't have any clocks in the villas, they have no idea what time it is, and they're spending like concentrated time together, so that becomes their world. and they forget. I think they forget they're on camera a lot of the time as well.
Yeah, they must do. And like, think, because I was trying to put myself in that. Well, I would be a nightmare. I've got insomnia, so I would be just up all
Same,
night,
girl.
probably wanting to go and sleep on a sofa somewhere. Oh my God, I'd be a nightmare. I'd be like, guys, I can't sleep, and everyone would be like, shut up. So it'd be that. Also, that you can't, they can't listen to music, they can't read books, they can't do anything. So they're just like going to have to be talking to it. I don't know. This, yeah. I think I saw. this is how far I've gone into it. I follow Lydia on Instagram, and she did like a question and answer session, and she said that they can't listen to music and they can't read books. I just found that so fascinating, because it's like, well, no wonder then they become when an artist comes in, or like when they have a party,
they're like buzzing for it. And no wonder they argue so much as well, because I'd be pissed off. So if I get bored, I get pissed off.
Do you?
My life,
get a bit frustrated?
And then the little things will annoy me, because you'll just be dissecting everything around you. And I thrive off being busy.
Wow. So, okay. You'd struggle. But you'd love the challenges.
Yeah, the challenges. I'd be fully invested. Like, I would compete with the boys. I'd be there, ready.
Love it.
But yeah, I'm always in that thing. Like, do I apply? Like, should I kind of want to apply to see if they'd accept me, because I'm not like the Love Island girl.
God,
do you know
apply.
What I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God, no.
And I wouldn't do.
Apply.
Yeah. It's always that, like, do I do that? Am I cheapening myself if I went on it? And like, would I actually match with anyone? Like, would anyone be able to tolerate me? Like, what if I just got rejected? Like, what if I was the Hugo of the season?
My God.
Or what if I got cut in the first series? You'd be like, livid.
Oh, I know. If you went out first, you probably would be livid, wouldn't you? Oh my God, I'd love it if you applied.
It's every season. My friends are like, you would be hilarious because you literally don't give a fuck. You're a weirdo. I'm just so extroverted and just do stupid stuff.
Please do it. I'll run your Insta account when you do it. I'll be the one running your Insta account, being like, wasn't our girl amazing tonight?
Do you know what? That's the bit I hate, when you go on their Instagram. Like, who is running them? Like, do it better. Like, I do this for a job. Like, that's awful. Stop it, please.
I know. I think they get their friends to run it.
Ugh, no. Yeah, well, if I make it on the season, I'll give it to you. I'm handing it over. There's about 5 accounts for you to run. Is that right?
Okay, maybe not.
I know, literally. I did think about this, because I was like, I've got like my wellness account, like the Smile to Health, which is where like I do all of this from. And then I've got my personal account, which is just like selfies and thirst traps. And then my podcast account, so that I don't really post on the podcast one, because I do it all mainly from Smile to Health. So I was like, if someone had to run my socials, it would be carnage.
Nightmare. It would be, definitely. You'd have to blend it all into one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, imagine. I'm just picturing it. Well,
but also, I'm not the stereotypical body type. Like, I'm a size like 12 to 14. I'm not really, I can do glam, but I'm not like, I don't have any filler, I don't have hair extensions or anything like that. So I really don't tick the typical boxes.
It becomes such a trope of Love Island. Isn't that funny? Because I don't know, they are all such different people, really. Like, personality wise, they are so different, but a lot of them have got
aesthetically, they tick the same
aesthetically
boxes.
It's pretty wild. I wonder if they're ever going to change that up.
I think the series would be so much more interesting if you put normal people in.
Yeah, it definitely would be. Yeah, for sure. But no, I don't know. I was talking about this the other day. I've been with my boyfriend for like 7 years now, so I mean, I think it'd be bad if I went on it. But
so imagine he'd be like, "What the hell? Is this for your poetry? Like, what's the vibe here?" You could just go in as a business proposition, get the platform, and then just go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get my fast fashion brand collaboration in the bag.
Collaborate with home. Pretty Little Thing, and you're sorted.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think I can see why people go on it though. I think maybe if I was single, I don't think I'd be against it. Really, I just think I'd get voted out first for sure. So
yeah, me too. I don't mean me too that you'd get voted. I mean that I'd get voted. Imagine. Yeah, you'd.
Yeah, you would. You would. God, how much could two people talk about Love Island?
But I'm the same. It really was like I was totally invested, and I'm really fascinated by the psychology of people. So I think it's really interesting how people have different personas, and like the way that that I feel like Faye and Teddy were done really dirty, and I think they really tried to probe her for TV and probably painted her a lot worse than she actually is. And then the whole Jake thing, he really weirded me out from the beginning. Like, I've got ick vibes straight away.
Really? Yeah, so no, it is super interesting. The Faye and Teddy thing, God, that really exploded, didn't it? People have real like major opinions about it either way, I think. But yeah, I guess that's the thing, we really don't know what we're watching in terms of how they edit it and how they're kind of probing them and what they're saying, because there are producers literally producing it, making sure certain things happen and don't happen and stuff. So, you know, so we have to remember that. But yeah, I agree with I don't know about Jake, but all I know is that I didn't think that he was that into her,
basically. I think it was convenient, and then she clocked on, and I don't think he expected her to be as much of a badass bitch as she was.
Yeah, I know. Did I say Lydia before when I was talking about Liberty? I think I said Lydia. That just popped into my head.
But I totally was like, oh yeah, of course.
If I did, I'm so sorry, because I love Liberty. I love her.
Me too. And she's from Birmingham as well, so she's literally like 20 minutes down the road from me. So I was like, representing the West Mids, like, I'm here for it.
Oh, she's so fab. Like, she's 21 and she seems to know better than me.
Such a level head, she was so level-headed and had like a clear perspective.
Yeah.
I think she won in the end, even though she didn't win. I think she won in the sense that her like journey, everyone was so invested in. And like, because she was such a girl's girl.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And she just, she had a great sense of self-worth and great, strength of character. I just literally loved her towards the end. She's such a sweet girl. Oh my God, listen to us, we're obsessed.
I know. I'll be like, is this a Love Island episode?
But I get so invested in the friendships that form. Like, I'll never be over Chris and Kem. I've never laughed so much as that series of them two. And I think those are the more interesting relationships that build.
But like Liv and Kaz. They were like 4 besties.
I know.
So
and they were
sweet.
The first people to meet on the island as well, because they literally were the first 2 to walk into the villa.
Really? See, I missed like the first 3 episodes. Oh, I love that. Love them.
So
hope they remain best friends.
I know, me too. I'm going to be following them. Like, please hang out. Please have fun together.
Oh gosh.
I need to get there.
But speaking of girls, I'll bring it back to the writing. Sorry, everyone. We brought it back. Talk to me about this poem. I love it because I'd like to know, are you a feminist? What was the inspiration behind the poem? What does the poem mean to you? Because I think I really got the idea of like the importance of creating a voice for women, taking up space. And I thought that links through with your writing about like a lot of the time writing is where people feel heard. And I know that sounds really weird because obviously it's not necessarily spoken out loud, but that's the poem I found you through initially, and then I realised that I've got loads of people in common that know you, which is so bizarre.
So funny.
Yeah, because obviously you know Alex, but Beth as well. I used to work at Bodyism with her.
What?
Yeah,
no
I saw
way.
her she put you on her story the other day, and I was like, what the hell? I saw a little cast in the corner and I was like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Yeah. Both Alex and Beth are the best people.
Got me the job. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, how funny. I'm literally going to see her later.
Tell her I said hi, because it's been so long, and I don't live west anymore, so I only was there for like 3 months, and then lockdown happened. But like in my head, I'm going to join and we're going to be best friends, because I just thought she was awesome.
Yeah, she's amazing. Oh my gosh, yeah, I'll definitely tell you said hi. That is so funny. The world is so small, isn't it?
Such a small world. And then, when I was hanging out with Alex, and she was like, oh my God, you should get Charlie on the podcast. And I was like, hang on a sec, who is Charlie? And she was like, oh, she writes like poems and stuff. And I was like, I follow her on Instagram. I'm obsessed. And she was like,
I can't believe that. That is so mad. That is so funny. Yeah, so number one, definitely I'm a feminist. I think I got into it actually by reading like a lot of Caitlin Moran when I was like 16. And it definitely has been a journey. And like you said before, like I think poetry does give you a voice, and I feel generally I find it quite, I'm not good at like debating, or I just feel like I'm not very good out loud. Does that make sense? I feel much better written down.
Yeah, it's a safe space though, isn't it? I think when you're out loud, there's that instant criticism or judgment or facial expression that you might get that then makes you panic and want to like internalize.
Totally. Yeah, so I feel much more comfortable writing, so trying to kind of incorporate my feminism into writing is important. And then with girls, I think what inspired me initially was that I literally saw a girl typing on her phone with acrylics on, these amazing acrylics.
the
Yes, I love a good set of acrylics, and I can't get any because of modeling, because I'm not allowed to have them. So I think I notice them all the time.
That's so
sad. I know it is sad. So I always notice it.
I don't feel myself if I don't have them on. Like, I used to really want to play guitar, and I realised you had to keep your nails short, and I was like, no, I'll stick to piano. I feel very Carrie Bradshaw.
I know, and I love how they make people feel, and I think I just noticed that this girl was on her phone typing, and she was just loving her life with her like fresh set of acrylics on, and I was like, I love that for her. So then I wrote that note in my phone. I love it when girls like write in acrylics or something like that, just really rough to start off with. And then I guess it just all kind of spilled out from there, and I wanted to write something that basically reflected the strength of women and girls, and I wanted it to be the word girls instead of women, because I always feel as though kind of girls can sometimes be a little bit infantilized, and almost as if girls is a bit of a dirty word sometimes, you know, like, oh, you're such a girl or whatever.
It's so interesting, the dialogue and the use of words around women. Like, even silly things, if somebody's really assertive and they're a female, they'll be called bossy, whereas a man will be called like strong or assertive or whatever. The difference in language. And I like when I hear the word girls, I always think of, you're right, girls. Like, that's all I always have it, Gemma Collins, in my head.
I love that. I just love girls, and I love girls' relationship with each other. And I also, it was important to me as well that I kind of included that anyone can embody that, and anyone can be a girl, and that anyone can be as feminine as they like. I thought that was important to include, because that is how I feel. I guess it's just it kind of all spilled out. I wrote it on my phone, and then I sent it to my friend, and I literally said, "Is this shit I'm about to post?" and she was like, "No, it's good." And I was like, "Okay, I guess I'll post it." And then it's essentially like one of my most popular. It's like my most popular poem, which is kind of nuts. It is a bit of a lesson for me that I tend to not over edit stuff, but I overthink things. And especially with having a little bit more of a following now than I did then when I posted girls, I get a bit like, I'll overthink it. I need to remind myself that actually sometimes it's good to just get it out, and like maybe the first draft is actually a little bit more authentic because you just got it out.
You've just thrown it onto a page.
I love the fact that you write on your phone as well. I find that really interesting, because I feel like if I ever sit down to write, that looks very different, and the end product is very different to when I've had this burst of emotion, or like you said, an inspiration, and then I'm just typing in the notes of my phone because the ideas are literally coming to me there and then.
Yeah, you're so right, actually. That's true, because I do like writing in my notebook as well, but you're right, the end product is always quite different. I guess because it's physically slower for me to write anyway. It's I wasn't in school from 17 so like I'd barely like write with a pen, so so I guess it's much quicker writing on your phone notes. I just love it. Have you seen that meme of that like the person in the corner of the party? Have you seen that meme? And it's like they don't know that I'm writing a poem in my notes on my phone. I'll send it to you.
Anyway. send it me. I love that.
But it is literally, you can write it anywhere, as long as you have your phone on you, which is great. I love what the poem Girls means to other people as well, because other people have kind of taken it as a kind of love letter to their friends. A lot of people have bought prints of it to send to their friends, and it's kind of like, I'll get message being like, oh, this is exactly how I feel about my best friend, and I'm just like, oh, I love that so much. It's kind of taken on its own, gone on its own journey now.
And I think, like you said, by changing it from women to girls, I think it then becomes about, like you said, the community of, because when women, like girls, come together, we're so powerful. Like, that is magic. When you have those really strong relationships, whether it be on Love Island, at a party, whatever, it's really powerful. And actually, to write about that rather than romance, which is like the like normal topic that everyone talks about. I mean, I'm a sucker for it. I'm always writing about like relationships, breakups and stuff. You can't not. But also, I think that's why I love that poem so much too, is that it's that friendship.
Yeah, I know. It does show as well, like how much girls want to show each other that they love each other. That friends will tag each other in the poem, just being like, this is how I feel about you, babe, I love you. And I'm like, oh my God, girls are just obsessed with each other. and I'm here for
we
it.
Are. We literally are. I don't even know why we ever bothered with boys. Like, if we all just stuck together, if we were all just gay, it would be so much easier.
I know. My God,
I
I know.
all the time. Honestly, I'm so over men at this point, and I really like toxically masculine men as well.
Oh yeah. I think I mean, that's a whole other podcast, really. I could get into that.
Yeah, it is in itself. Honestly, toxic masculinity, let's go.
Love it.
Have you read Florence Given Women Don't Owe You Pretty?
I think I've read about half of it because I've gotten into a really bad rut of reading half books and then putting them down or reading a chapter. I'm reading like 7 books at the same time at the minute. It's pretty bad.
My God.
Even if I love it.
Or non-fiction?
Both. Even if I start reading it and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing, I'm obsessed, I'll just end up, I don't know what's happened to my attention span, but I'm reading literally like 7 different books at the moment, including
That's
that.
mental.
I can have like a non-fiction and a fiction on the go, but I can't have multiple fictions because then the worlds all merge and then my brain is like overwhelmed. So hats off to you for doing that. Wow.
Yeah, I am quite overwhelmed at the minute.
I don't know, now that you write, do you have a habit of reading and then you're thinking about the topics and what you could write about? Do you think that's maybe why?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it could be that. I think it's a bit of a learned thing, funnily, because my dad does the same. My dad is always reading at least 2 books. And at night he'll read a chapter of each, which is nuts to me. But I guess maybe that's rather than read 3 chapters of one, he'll read 3 chapters of each book.
That's crazy.
So maybe it's a bit of a learned behaviour, but yeah, you're right. I do think as well, I'll be reading something and then I'll probably get inspired and maybe start writing something and then I'll forget, and then I'm just love buying books. I love buying things anyway. So I just love going into a bookshop and buying loads of books and then just like staring at them.
They just look so pretty.
In my new room, I'm really gutted I'm not in in London at the moment, because in my new room I've got all of my books all colourful across the top of my wardrobe, so it's like a mini library, and I can't stop buying books either. I think most of the books there are ones I haven't read. Like, all the ones I have read I've either given to friends or like moved them around, and I just can't stop buying them. And I love the smell of a new book as well. Is that weird?
No, a new book to me is literally, because people love the smell of old books. I'm not into that. I'm into the
library book smell.
Yeah, no, I like that kind of new fresh book smell. It genuinely smells amazing. It's ridiculous.
I want it in a candle. Like, that is a fragrance.
Yes. Oh my God, that's a good idea.
Business idea.
You know what I tried to do the other day? I tried to alphabetize my bookshelf. That's another thing that I should never have done, which is just not for me. I don't know why I tried to do that, but I pulled them all out and I got to about B and I was just like, this is the most boring thing I've ever done in my life. What am I doing?
Alphabetize is really hard as well. Maybe like color coordinate them. That's a bit easier because it's just, you can see the color. You're actually having to look for the
ridiculous. I don't even know what I was thinking. It's so dull. I take my hat off to anyone who's organized in that way. I wish I was that person. So not.
I've color coordinated before.
That's nice. That's good. Good for you. You do you, babe.
Good for you, honey. I'm not.
Have you ever been to Daunt's bookshop in, where is it? I feel like it's Marylebone. The really beautiful one, and it's got the 2 levels. And there's like stained glass in the roof. It's on a really busy street, but then you go in and it's like, it looks like a really old library. And I just go in and I have to buy something every time I go. I'll send you a link to where it is. I'm pretty sure it's in Marylebone. Like, you can get there from Baker Street. So I think it is Marylebone.
Yeah, it must be. Oh my God, I love that. I just love a bookshop.
The best.
That's why I miss West, actually, because you've got a lot of the really cute ones in like Notting Hill and Kensington.
Got great ones there.
North isn't quite the same.
Is it not? I've lived south for like 6 years now, I think. Isn't it funny, the kind of north-south thing? Yeah, I just couldn't imagine living North London.
Well, I just went a bit rogue and moved there, but I've always been West is best. Like, I'm such a little bougie bitch.
So I mean, don't you just get your little zone, don't you? And you can't imagine living anywhere else. And you're like, oh my God, get over yourself. But with me, I'm like, I can't imagine being north of the river.
But it is that thing, like, because when I go south, I'm like, oh, I really love it down here. And then I go north and I'm like, oh my God, this is so different. But I do love it, but they are so different.
They are, right?
So bizarre.
London, eh?
I need to go on holiday.
Right.
Honestly, to be fair, the amount of people I mute when they're on holiday, because I'm like, I don't need to see it because I'm jealous.
I literally love that. I don't need to see this. And I know I don't need to see this. You're muted. I love that.
You're muted, and then I'll come back to you when you get back in a week's time.
It actually links quite well into my question, which is weekly highlight, dose of positivity. What's good about being in the UK right now?
What is good? Okay, so what is good actually is I feel like being able to see my friends has been the best. And now places are open. I'm loving it. And I went out my friend's birthday on Saturday. And I actually met like two girls that I haven't met before, which was always really nice.
That's the one thing I do really love about London, is you meet so many people all the time that are so interesting.
Definitely. And I feel like maybe over lockdown, like because we had to be very, you have to choose who you were going to see, and it'd be very small groups. So I feel like I haven't had much opportunity to like meet new people, or just like be in the pub and meet like some of your mates and your friends. It was just so nice. And just the positive vibes of like 6 girls being really loud together outside a wine bar gave me a big dose of a massive dose of positivity. It was amazing because like I was saying before, like with the girls poem and everything, girls just love each other, I feel. So
they really do. Like when this whole thing about a girls' girl, we're all girls. Like I'd like to believe anyway.
Totally. Yeah, it is. It's really special, and it did give me a nice little boost, little dose of positivity. Even though the hangover was horrendous, but yeah, it was.
What wine bar did you go to?
I went to Joyce in Brockley.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it's really nice. It's just lovely. Yeah, it's worth a trip because the wine is just it is really good. And it's just it's just a simple little wine bar. But because it was my friend's birthday, we were being a bit bougie with the orders, which felt great as well. So we started off with a bit of champagne.
Sometimes simple is best, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, what? Sorry, I just got the champagne bit in, and I was like, "What? Go on."
I know. Well, we ordered a bougie bottle of champagne to start off with, which is just it just never happens.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me,
no,
especially,
I
never want to go all out bougie.
No.
So it was just fab gals getting together, drinking fancy champers and being loud. And obviously, the more we drank, the louder we were all being, and the more outrageous the conversation was. And I was just like, oh. It was just great. I'm thankful that it's back, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful.
I think we've all missed it. As much as we moan about it, we've all missed it. It's that love-hate relationship, isn't it?
For sure.
We can't keep up with the social because we need to sleep, but we also love the social and don't want to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. I am tired, but no, it's good. I'm having fun.
And to finish this fabulous episode, I feel like there's so many questions that I want to ask you. Like we have to meet for drinks. It's happening.
We could talk for hours. We do. We actually do. We need to meet for drinks. I could honestly talk for hours. Loved it.
I love it.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given, or a piece of advice you would like to give? I'm going to open it up.
Okay, so I mean, it sounds cheesy, but my mum used to give me this advice when I was younger. And when it was ever I was nervous about anything, or especially like going into an exam, she'd always say, you can only do your best. And I always try to remind myself of that, because I do feel as though we all put quite a lot of pressure on ourselves. And I do remind myself of that quite a lot, just being like, all I can do is my best. I can just try my best, and whatever happens, I'll know that I tried.
Yeah, I totally agree with you with the pressure, in the sense that you can't do better than your best. That it's not possible. So even if you don't get the outcome you wanted, you couldn't have done any more. So you can't bully yourself for that.
I know. And I feel like, we're all so hard on ourselves. And I don't know whether it's even, I don't know, like with social media and everything, I feel as though we all think we should be doing so much more than we are, and having like 3 careers, and going on holiday all the time, and I don't know, just having like this perfect life.
You're expected to have a perfect friendship group, a perfect boyfriend, a really nice house, do your job, have a passion project, go on holiday every month. It's relentless, and you're like, how do you even have the time to get 8 hours sleep a day, is what I want to know.
I don't know. And then on top of that, then you kind of beat yourself up for not being able to keep up with other people, or so I do remind myself of that, like, well, I can only do my best, which is Mama Brogan, good advice there. So it's a good reminder. That is, I do want everyone to just be like, we all need to be kinder to ourselves. We're all so hard on ourselves. Do you not think?
Really are. Yeah, we really are.
I think you don't realise it until you hear your friends doing it to themselves. Going back to the girls thing, and if like any of my friends spoke to themselves the way I speak to myself, I'd bitch slap them out of here. I'd be like, girl, no. Right, we're going to have an intervention. We're going to bring in some love and bring in the wine. Let's go. But yet we so freely bully ourselves into the ground. It's madness.
Yeah, it is. It really is. We all need to go a little bit easier on ourselves, I think, for sure. Yeah, just be a bit kinder to yourselves and to everyone else.
Be kind. Namaste. And if people want this dose of kindness and fabulousness, this is your chance to self-plug. Where can we find you? What can we expect? What have you got on the table? Self-plug.
Okay, so if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm at Charlie Blur. And there's a link on there also to my Substack newsletter. And where else am I? I also have my Etsy store for my prints, but you can find all of that on the link on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And then coming up, I'm teaching a couple of workshops, some poetry workshops, and
my gosh, I'm totally coming.
Oh yeah, please do. I'll send you the link.
To come.
Yeah, please. Yes, I'm teaching some poetry workshops, and then generally just writing, trying to get a collection together, and generally that. Living my best life.
Living your
trying
best
to go on
life,
holiday.
honey. Yes. Excited to see where you're going. Like, hopefully a book so I can buy it.
Oh, you're so lush. Oh, it's been so nice to talk to you. We definitely need to go for a wine, for sure.
Oh, 100%. I'm ready.